8:30 Wednesday.
Get set, we've got a surprise. Sit back, open your eyes. Open wide and say, ah! Comedy, drama, movies, style, Channel 7, all the best. Look at us fly. Open your eyes, open wide and say, ah! Channel 7, all the best, all the best.
Good evening, I'm Kay Stammers. Reports from Canberra tonight say the government has decided on its program for helping new home buyers. It'll cost the rest of us about $300 million. And still talking about money, Qantas has sold the Wentworth Hotel for more than $70 million. On a more homely level, the state opposition is claiming that children are being offered free hamburgers to perform well at school. Federal Cabinet has settled on a housing assistance package that will give some $300 million to first home buyers. Government sources say this is around the top figure considered by Cabinet today and will mean the removal of some current restrictions. Cabinet still has to tie up some loose ends on the policy tomorrow morning, but the sources say today's deliberations all but settle the issue. The details won't be known until Thursday, when Treasurer John Howard is expected to announce them in Parliament. The main relief is expected to be through tax deductibility on interest rates and a revamping of the Home Savings Grant scheme. It could mean a saving of up to $80 a month for those eligible. Qantas announced today the sale of its Wentworth Hotel in Sydney. David Allen reports the hotel sold for between $70 and $73 million to a life insurance company.
The Wentworth has been purchased by the National Mutual Life Association of Australasia and will be operated by Sheraton Pacific Hotels under a management and leasing agreement with National Mutual. Last week, Qantas chairman Mr Jim Leslie announced the sale of its headquarters building adjacent to the Wentworth Hotel for about $26 million. The total money gained by Qantas for the two properties is expected to be close to $100 million. With the recent federal government agreement to subscribe an additional $25 million in the form of equity shares, Qantas has now relieved its liquidity problems.
We didn't actually have to have the money, but we've been looking at all our assets as you should in any other business, and those that aren't performing as well as they might come under scrutiny. The hotel, for example, on this price was earning about 3.7%. We're borrowing money in excess of 15, so you can see pretty easily why it's a big advance to sell the hotel. We only had one hotel, we haven't got a chain, and it was built at a time and owned when there were shortage of beds in Sydney. Today that doesn't apply.
A short time ago, Mr Leslie addressed the staff of the Wentworth Hotel, giving them details of the contract sale. He also assured them that their positions and employment are guaranteed for at least the next 2 years.
State opposition frontbencher Nick Greiner has attacked the Education Department for allowing school children to be used in an advertising promotion by the McDonald's hamburger chain. Mr Greiner says some children have received report cards from McDonald's with a promise of free cheeseburgers. He believes the children are being exploited in a commercial enterprise. State Roundsman David Jones has this exclusive report.
Nick Greiner became upset when his young daughter came home from school with this McDonald's leaflet. It congratulated young Cara Greiner. She's in second grade at Warrawee on her progress. The leaflet, promising a free cheeseburger at McDonald's Waitara, was duly signed by the class teacher. Mr Greiner has no argument with McDonald's, but he's annoyed with the Education Department for allowing school children to be used in a commercial operation.
I believe Mr Mulock ought immediately issue guidelines to all primary and secondary schools outlining the sorts of things they ought to be allowing to be distributed to their children, and specifically outlawing any attempt to use the schools for straight commercial purposes.
McDonald's defends the advertising promotion. Waitara store manager Scott Cartwright described it as a school merit system, an extension of the age-old system where a teacher gives a star to a hard-working student. Another McDonald's executive says the promotion is part of the company's community involvement. The promotion is available to schools and sporting groups across the country as a reward for achievers. He says McDonald's doesn't vet promotions by its individual stores. However, there are strict guidelines set down. But it appears the cheeseburger award for hard-working school children may become embroiled in controversy. New South Wales Education Minister Ron Mulock is also unhappy about the McDonald's campaign. He's ordered an inquiry, and he says schools should be very wary about allowing their premises to be used for promotions by commercial undertakings. David Jones reporting for Newsworld.
The United States government is being forced to ease pressure on its Western European allies not to accept supplies of natural gas from the Soviet Union. Energy shortages have already prompted France and West Germany to sign contracts for the Siberian gas, and several of their neighbours are expected to agree to the supplies as well. The gas pipeline, which is due to open in 1984, is seen as Russia's only means of saving its economy, particularly after recent setbacks caused by Soviet attempts to bail Poland out of its own financial troubles.
When Polish leader Wojciech Jaruzelski ended his Moscow visit earlier this month, he carried back to Warsaw promises of increased Soviet aid for his country's beleaguered economy. Though, as one Western expert here put it then, the Soviets are in no position to give the Poles a blank check. Industrial and agricultural output in the Soviet Union in 1981, the first year of the new five-year plan, was dismal. And despite the billboard exhortations that dot the country, this year doesn't promise to be much better. Besides, too many Soviet consumers feel they're being shortchanged already, and that aid to Poland is the reason why. A bigger reason is the drain of support for the entire socialist bloc. Millions of dollars a day are spent just to keep the economies of Vietnam and Cuba functioning. Then there's the Soviet Union's enormous military budget, estimated at 12 to 15% of the country's gross national product. Included the cost of keeping a 100,000-man occupation force in Afghanistan. Another major burden on the Soviet Union is the hard currency price it pays simply to feed its people. The third consecutive disastrous grain harvest will force Moscow to import well over 40 million metric tons of grain this selling year. And that means cash, billions of dollars of it, up front. The same terms exist for tens of thousands of tons of meat imported to make up for widespread domestic shortages. Often now, Soviet trade officials tell foreign business delegations if they want new contracts for anything from oil field equipment to blue jeans, they'll have to agree to credit terms. There have also been Soviet requests to the Japanese, among others, for payment extensions on existing loan agreements. The foreign reserve squeeze has compelled Moscow to sell off gold at a rate of 200 to 300 tons a year, even though it's helped push gold prices down to their lowest level in years.
Here's some Russian fuel, F10.
Large quantities of Soviet crude oil and diamonds are also being auctioned off in depressed markets. The major promise of relief, the Urengoy-Uzhgorod natural gas pipeline, designed as a 2,700-mile link between Siberia and the energy network of Western Europe. When it's completed, possibly in 1984, it should bring in up to $8 billion a year in hard currency. Reagan administration objections notwithstanding, West Germany and France have already signed 20-year agreements for pipeline deliveries. Austria is negotiating with the Soviets now. Belgium is expected to be next. Italy and Spain are thinking about it. The Soviet media characterize Western Europe's cooperation in the pipeline project as the business deal of the century.
Don't go to bed yet. We'll be back with more of Newsworld after this break.
Venture value is value with a double V.
Venture boosts your buying power with quality at the right price.
And the price is really right, with super fleecy sweatshirts only $7.99. Cord jeans just $13.99.
Venture value is value with a double V.
Double up on venture value for the kids with these hard-wearing cord jeans. $6.99 each. The Sloppy Joe, $4.99.
And for the toddlers, fleecy sloppy joes, $3.99. Fancy cord jeans, great value, $5.99.
Venture value is value with a double V.
Fleecy Sloppy Joes. Choose from 4 great colours, $7.99 each. Western-style cord jeans for work or play, just $9.99.
With values like these, we'll be back.
Venture value is value with a double V.
When we moved across Australia, we didn't realise the traumas we'd face, leaving behind our home, our friends. Katie had a little pony. We had to leave him behind with a friend. It nearly broke her heart. And as if that wasn't enough, there was all the expense of moving on top of all the regular bills. We had to totally redo the kitchen. We just didn't think we could manage, till John went and talked to AGC. They were terrific.
At AGC, we've introduced a combined loan scheme which allows you to borrow enough for that unexpected need and to pay out your other regular commitments, leaving you only one repayment each month.
Well, we put in our new kitchen, and Katie doesn't know it yet, but we've got a little surprise for her too.
Jenny Brown had been waiting for today. She was finally going to replace those dreadful curtains. 11:07, she descended on the Sheridan Easy Curtain display. Though she found it hard to choose between the 49 Sheridan fabrics and colors, eventually she decided the champagne velvet was utterly perfect. 12:35, she hung them. 12:55, she pinned them. 1:15, she ironed the instant hem. And at 1:30, Sheridan Easy Curtains. And we really do mean easy. See them all at Myer.
Keep your family slim and trim with Women's Day's great diet special. There's a $1-saving diet, plus Kim Freeman's low kilojoule dishes to help you beat the Battle of the Bulge.
Women's Day has exclusive pictures of the TV wedding of the year, plus a preview of the man from Snowy River.
Get your copy of TV Day, the bonus colour TV magazine with every Woman's Day. There's full program details, plus the latest gossip on your favourite TV stars.
In this week's Women's Day.
The state's largest geriatric and psychiatric hospital, the 500-bed Allendale Hospital at Cessnock, is without staff tonight as nurses continue industrial action against proposed state government cuts. A spokesman for Health Minister Laurie Brereton says volunteers are being called to help run the hospital. He says the nurses at Stockton Psychiatric Hospital have gone back to work, but they may be out again tomorrow. Nurses at Morisset Psychiatric Hospital are also out, but a large skeleton crew is staffing the hospital. The Sydney Harbour Bridge is 50 years old this week. With a special look at the grand old coat hanger, here's Michelle Schofield.
Not very good news for our 2GB motorists this morning. We have a two-car accident on the Bradfield section of the bridge and 2 lanes are blocked, causing delays back for at least 3 kilometres for city-bound traffic. The Carl Expressway is also extremely congested and hardly moving at all.
Whilst we have inconvenience from time to time, in relative terms it's not major.
Northbound motorists are not faring much better, with the Western Distributor almost at a standstill, and the Carl Expressway, as usual, is back to Macquarie Street.
Whatever governments try and encourage people to drive private cars, they're only going to encourage frustration.
Once acclaimed as the greatest arch bridge of its age, the Sydney Harbour Bridge is like Gulliver in the land of Lilliput, at the mercy of the tiny creatures who scurry across its deck. The boast of Sydney, the arch that linked our shores and fed our national pride, is now an anachronism, a tribute to engineering skills of the past. From Monday to Friday, this complex mass of steel and granite is the biggest single source of headaches and frustration to bedevil Sydney's peak hour travellers. Anyone who lives north of this latter-day colossus and who travels south daily to work in the city is a victim of the bridge. The idea for a harbour crossing had been tossed around since the early days of the colony, but it wasn't until 1900 that definite action was taken to build a bridge. Lobby groups of North Shore businessmen and residents continued to harry politicians. But 22 years lapsed before legislation authorising the building of a bridge from Dawes Point on the south to Milsons Point on the north was passed. While the bridge was taking shape, so too were the road and rail approaches, including the Milsons Point and the North Sydney railway stations. On March the 19th, 1932, the bridge was open to the public. Political tensions erupted on that gala day as Captain de Groot, a member of the right-wing organisation The New Guard, took centre stage from the Labor Premier Jack Lang. But no self-seeker, politician or bureaucrat could take away the people's pleasure in seeing their bridge complete. The motor car has ruled the hearts and minds of the planners. As in the early days, when people lobbied for a first harbour crossing, pressure for an alternative came to a head during the 70s. Ideas for tunnels, bridges and freeway schemes were discussed. Studies were commissioned, surveys carried out. Late last year, 4 proposals for an alternate crossing were made ready for public discussion. The debate over the future of the bridge continued. The same arguments over property resumption resurfaced. In the meantime, the state government decided that an extra lane on the eastern side of the bridge would be built to ease traffic congestion. Somehow there's an air of déjà vu about it all. Whatever the future, the coat hanger will continue to dominate the lives of most Sydney-siders. Bigger and better legends will grow, and the steel arch will continue to attract those mesmerised by its grandeur.
If this really were a coat hanger, this is where the hook would be. We're right at the very top of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Ever since the bridge was opened 50 years ago, hundreds of people have climbed up here, some with permission, but most without, just to get this spectacular view. But the penalties for climbing up here without permission are $100.
West of Sydney, there's a whole new world of people who need the consideration of engineers, planners and politicians. Another harbour crossing may well suit the affluent who live on Sydney's northern peninsula. But while Sydney debates, the engineering marvel which served the city well will continue to be the bane of those who must cross it daily. What a far cry from that brilliant Sydney day 50 years ago when the bridge was truly a dream come true.
Michelle Schofield there with that report. We'll be back with more in just a minute.
I'll get him the best doctors there are, but I won't see him. And I will not forgive him.
Tomorrow night, Wayne Hamilton is rejected by his father and the girl he loves.
Isn't that trip to Sydney, is it still going?
Is David Palmer hoping to become more than just good friends with Patricia Hamilton?
I love you more than anyone, you know that.
And can John cope with the fact that his feeling for Angela still runs deep?
Stop being so silly.
Sons and Daughters, right after 7 National News, tomorrow night on 7.
J&B Records present The Righteous Brothers. You've Lost That Love and Feeling. 18 sentimental favourites. Unchained Melody.
Goes by so slow.
You're My Soul and Inspiration. Georgia. What Now, My Love?
What now, my love? Now that you
The classic Ebb Tide.
first the tide rushes in.
An album to share with someone special. The Righteous Brothers. You've Lost That Love and Feeling. Available at record bars everywhere. From J&B.
You've lost that love.
You are so beautiful. You are so beautiful. Can't you tell? So beautiful to me.
Who's got economy, ruggedness? Who'll go anywhere for you?
Daihatsu. that's who.
Who's got vans for all reasons, whatever job you have to do?
Daihatsu, that's who.
For the ultimate in car economy, Delta trucks, four-wheel drive, or a van. Whose name do you look for?
Daihatsu, that's who.
Who?
Daihatsu, that's who.
Yeah.
Australia's gypsies buried their queen in Sydney today. She was 64-year-old Ruby Stereo, who died in Wollongong last week. Mike Peterson was at the funeral.
After being laid out in state to allow mourners to pay their respects, Ruby Stereo's body was moved to Sydney for the Greek Orthodox funeral service. 100 friends and relatives filled the church of St. Sophia for the colourful ceremony. Ruby's husband, Joe, although obviously deeply upset, seemed oblivious to the media attention given to her funeral. Ruby would no doubt have enjoyed her send-off. Following gypsy tradition, she was given a bottle of wine and coins to help her on her last journey.
The funeral of Ruby Stereo, the Queen of Australia's Gypsies. Manly Warringah Test forward Les Boyd was tonight cleared of an attempted head-high tackle charge by the New South Wales Rugby League judiciary. Boyd was sent off in yesterday's match against Canterbury Bankstown. Judiciary Chairman Jim Comans dismissed the charge and claimed that Mortimer had ducked his head onto his chest when he saw Boyd approaching. Well, everybody loves a hidden treasure mystery, and one that's captured the imagination of thousands of people around the world has just been solved in England. Writer Kit Williams posed the buried treasure puzzle 3 years ago in his world-famous children's book, Masquerade. He gave clues in the book to the whereabouts of a jewel-studded golden hair, and those clues have been unravelled by an Englishman.
The bizarre quest ended in a park near the village of Ampthill in Bedfordshire, where, in the shadow cast by a monument to Catherine of Aragon, the buried treasure was found. Representatives of the publishers joined the triumphant finder and the book's author at the spot to melt away the wax which sealed the bejewelled pendant in its terracotta box. Readers had besieged Masquerade's author, Kit Williams, for more clues to find the 18-carat gold hair that is the book's central theme. The finder, who prefers to remain anonymous, could find his persistence has earned him up to 10 times the pendant's original value of £3,000.
Back with the weather and some spectacular skiing after this break.
Why don't you tell me why you're up here now? You want some money? You ain't going to get any.
In the middle of nowhere, a killer strikes.
I don't think this was an accident.
And the only witness is without a voice to reveal the truth.
People said I was crazy trying to put handicapped people on horses. Now we're helping those people.
That's an eviction notice. Why must the handicapped suffer?
Where you going?
See if I could stop the villain from foreclosing on the mortgage.
This is it, kid. Nobody's ever going to hear a word out of you.
Quincy's out for results, 8:30 Tuesday.
It's Sydney Harbour Bridge Anniversary Week in the Sun. Tomorrow, find out how you can win one of 3,000 souvenir medals. Sons and Daughters star Rowena Wallace talks about her super bitch role as Patricia Hamilton. And Manly captain Max Krilich has his say on controversial forward Les Boyd in tomorrow's Sun.
Where the action is.
Take one look at the care and craft that goes into the making of Sea Delight by Steg Bar Doors. See the difference? Sea Delight by Steg Bar Doors. Call this number for your display centre or for a free measure and quote.
Here's the way to save yourself some real bread. Take the smooth, easy cruise to work on a new Yamaha XT250. This zappy, compact 4-stroke single really puts down the power and whips you through the traffic in no time at all. Yamaha's famous monocross rear suspension and long travel front forks soak up the rough stuff easily and keep it tracking straight and true no matter where the road takes you. Come on, get out there in the fresh air. The sensational new Yamaha XT250. It's definitely the way to get around town these days.
Well, the weather looks like it's improving. Tomorrow we could have a few showers, but mainly sunny periods. East to northeast winds and slight seas on a moderate swell. City temperatures 20 to 25 degrees, Liverpool 18 to 26 and Penrith also 18 to 26. Austrian ski jumper Herbert Neuper has become world champion at a snow sport which could only be described as breathtaking. Here's how he did it, and we'll say goodnight.
Shocking realism, all the magnificence and depravity.
In Africa, our people born free.
All the passion of the explosive novel.
Mandingo! Kill old Fred Mandingo! You thinking I don't know a virgin when I sleeps with one and pleasures?
Listen, you do what I want. I'm gonna tell him everything.
Mandingo, the pride of his masters. The strongest and the bravest. Mandingo.
Presented by Sheridan, 8:30 Wednesday.
I'll get him the best doctors there are, but I won't see him. And I will not forgive him.
Tomorrow night, Wayne Hamilton is rejected by his father and the girl he loves.
Isn't that trip to Sydney, is it still going?
Is David Palmer hoping to become more than just good friends with Patricia Hamilton?
I love you more than anyone, you know that.
And can John cope with the fact that his feeling for Angela still runs deep?
Stop being so silly.
Sons and Daughters, right after 7 National News, tomorrow night on 7.